All right, well, welcome. We are going to be doing the final random character creation of this week. This is going to give us party member number 5 in our ongoing quest to make a weekly mod or a story, something that you can write up into an adventure, into a book, just into a short story. If you're feeling creative, you can draw, something along those lines. We have our standard procedure going of our dice roller, right? It's been nice and cleared off. Here's our somewhat pre-filled in standard character sheet and our handy dandy, wouldn't you know it, dice roll summary. First up, we're going to roll a D100 to determine if the character is male, female, or multi-classed. 52, this is going to put it into male, because 1 to 45 is female, 46 to 90 is male, 91 to 100 is multi-class. And then we must ask ourselves, a male what? We're going to roll a D10 twice, and if the first roll's a 10, that's going to be a reroll, because there's 9 primary races. 10, alright, so we're going to have to reroll this. This is going to be a number 6, and is it going to be subrace 1 or 2? Subrace 2, because it's an even. Coming down here, Gnome. It's going to be a rock gnome. Okay. A male rock gnome. We're already starting to, get some gears spinning. 1 or 2 might be going now. Don't be afraid to engage the rest as we continue to generate this character. An alignment, we're going to roll 2d100 for each of the axes of alignment. Good, neutral, evil. Law, neutral, chaos. Oh, pardon me. Oh, it's those stupid reminding me to breathe things again. Yeah, standard bodily housekeeping. 65 and 46. This is going to put us into neutral. 46 is going to put us into neutral. So this is going to be a neutral character. Next up, we have the level of the character, which is going to be 1d100. Change this over. Hit it. 46. 46 is going to put us as an 8th level character. So there's going to be X of Y archetype, and it's going to be level 8 total. Is the character going to use any feats? We shall see. Percentile roll. 97. Ooh. Okay. 97 is indicating... Come on. There you are. 3 if possible. Now, we will not be able to do that because you get the ASI or the ability score increase at 4 and 8. So instead of taking ability score increases, we're going to make a specialist in whatever this character is going to be by taking 2 feats instead. So that's going to be a partial mental note, but we can write down here 1 and 2. True neutral is interesting. Playing it can be difficult. Oh, pardon me again. Sorry, it seems very rude. I'm not yawning at you. It's just, it's almost a reflex. I got to get myself out of this. It's not even that I'm tired. I'm pumped. I'm psyched. Man, I look forward to my evenings with you all in chat. It's I get giddy. I have ideas, things I want to try. Like a new code or something to, to want to input. Oh, by the way, Sayo, I see you in the Discord. So thanks for popping in and welcome. Now we're going to see the class of the character with the roll of a D12. It's this nice yellow one right here. We hit it. 6. A monk. Ooh, okay. A monk of a D3 archetype. Hit roll. Number 1. That is going to be Way of the Open Hand. This is going to be a very traditional martial artist. You have quasi-supernatural abilities, but it's all going to be like the Kung Fu movie stuff. Not necessarily blending into shadows and teleporting through them, or being an airbender or something along those lines, which are the other two that exist. So we have a little Kung Fu gnome over here. The background is going to be determined with a D13 roll, which the physical ones do exist, I promise. Though this is just convenient to type it in here. A 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whoop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, Sage. Ooh, this could be interesting. And there is some kind of sage that this gnome will be. We're going to now roll these dice. I'm not going to worry just yet about what the text says. I just need placeholders right now, and we'll get to that in just the rest in a moment. I'm going to hit a D6. This is going to be 4. Then we're going to go with 2d8 personality traits. 1 and 5. Lastly, we're going to change this to a 3d6 because we need an ideal, a bond, and a flaw. 2, 4, 2. There we go. A little bit more housekeeping here on the random page. Let's go, here we go. Gnome, or our Gnomes here. They're going to start at 2'11", and they're only going to grow up from there another 2d4 inches. Change that to a 2, hit roll, another 6 inches. So 3 foot 5 inches tall. Oh, pardon me. Now we're going to take that same 6, multiply it by 1 pound, add it to 35, and we have... Oh, we have a fatty here. Look at that, 41 pounds. Oh, He's going to have to go on a diet. And now, lastly, we're going to determine the random age of our character. That's going to be a percentile, and we're going to start, well, right here in the middle anyway, to determine the phase of life. 44. That's going to put us into adulthood. I'm going to make a note here. And now we come over to Gnome. The cultural or intellectual adulthood is going to begin at 40. So if we rolled young adult, we would stick around there. If we rolled child prodigy, as you can see, there's a plus here in with dwarf and elf, where they physically mature around 20, right? I mean, at that point in time, they've grown to pretty much as big as they're going to get. They are capable of, reproducing and going from there. But their culture, their society doesn't say that they're an adult yet for whichever reasons, based on schooling or trials or rituals or things along those lines. So for a gnome, let's see, our age range is 40 to 450 here. An adult's probably going to start around, young adulthood is probably going to take us to about 100. And then I'm going to roll I'm going to roll a 75. So we're going to change this to a 75-sided die. I'm going to add this to 100, and this is going to determine how old our rock gnome is. 129 years old. Ooh, our party's a bunch of oldies. Though they're still young, relatively. Pouty Lips, hey, welcome. Are you creating these characters and playing alone or with other people or what? The characters that we create in the channel are practice for storytelling. As we create them, we're creating individual stories. And then at the end of the week, on the Saturday broadcast, we're going to discuss how we can take these characters and make them into a functional party. What are their roles and their responsibilities? And then that's a part 1. Part 2 then is, as a DM, what's the story that we're going to make? We're actually going to tell a story. Effectively, we're making a module, just kind of from the back end instead of I guess the normal way, you could call it. So each of these are exercises in creative thinking, in storytelling, in being able to take random things and connect them together in meaningful ways. And then we're just going to, throw them all in a bag, and, that's going to be the story that we've built. Because prior in the week, we built a map, which is going to have the location that this adventure is going to take place in. And now that we have, we're going to have 5 characters here soon. 5 characters, a location, and we're going to have a great foundation for being able to tell a story. Hopefully that answers your question, Pouty Lips. Okay, so here's our adult. He is an adult. We no longer are going to need this. All our placeholders have been generated and pulled off the list. So, minimizing this down. Whoops. Let's come back over here. There we go. We're going to start with the background. I do it this way because the background is going to give us some proficiencies and skills. It's going to give us some equipment, and it's going to flesh out the personality of the character more than the race and the class will. Those are more focus features, whereas the background answers who is he, what is he, not just the labels, and not just the crunch of the rules and the spells and all that. This is the core of the character. This is the heartbeat. This is the lungs. All right, we're looking for Sage. That was our randomly determined one. Alphabetical, Hermit. Nope, Sailor. I just passed by it. Here we go. Sarah says, "Oh, congrats on affiliate, by the way. My situational awareness is garbage tonight." Well, number one, thank you, Sayo. I couldn't have done that without the support of you, everyone in chat who's here currently, who's been in here before, and who will arrive as well. I did it in under a month, and that's proof that I'm providing you entertainment. I'm providing you something that you want to watch. Of all the channels of everything that you could be doing right now, you're spending this time with me, and that means a great deal. That means a great deal to me. So, thank you. And, it'd be a little weird maybe giving a congratulations to you, but as I'm spearheading the effort here for the community that we're building, this is really a victory for all of us, and I want to be able to share that. But that does mean that if you cheer or if you subscribe, do these things, this is going to allow me to invest specifically into this channel to then go and do some more things that are a little bit more creative, and that will also unlock maybe a tabletop adventure run on like Roll20 or something that I could play with you all, and it'll turn into kind of like a Twitch plays D&D situation. So fun things on the horizon. Definitely want to stick with it. You spent years learning the lore of the multiverse. You scoured manuscripts, studied scrolls, and listened to the greatest experts on the subjects that interest you. Your efforts have made you a master in your fields of study. Skill proficiencies: Arcana, bloop, and History, bloop. We get 2 languages of our choice. Well, we get Common and Gnomish from being a gnome. Oop. Now, there are 2 others we can take, and I have a good idea of what they're going to end up being based on the party that we're building and the region that this is going to take place. Though I don't want to put it in just yet, because as we continue to fill out the other pieces of the personality, that could change. And this character is still very much just this lump of clay that we're molding in front of us. Alright, so the Sage's specialty is number 4. A Librarian. There we go. And before we get to the next page, let's continue filling this in. We're going to get some black ink, a quill, a small kniff, like a letter opener, like nothing that's like a D4 dagger, but you get the idea. A letter from a dead colleague posing a question you have not yet been able to answer. So we will just call this a mystery or riddle. Does it have to be dead? Not necessarily. We owe ourselves a little bit of poetic license here. common clothes. By the way, that is a good device to give to your DM and say, hey, if you want to work this into the campaign, then I won't fight you. This is part of who I am and what I want to do. I'm trying to pursue this answer. Common clothes and a belt pouch. A belt ouch. Containing 10 gapuz. Fermat's last theorem. Is that... I believe I know what that is, but is that the formal name? Because there's like a math problem that people have been trying to solve for 400 years. Like the Gordian knot of math problems. Is that what you're talking about, Seo? Our background feature is Researcher. When you attempt to learn or recall a piece of lore, you do not know that, or if you do not know that information, you often know where and from whom you can obtain it. Usually this information comes from a library, scriptorium, university, or sage, or other learned person or creature. Your DM might rule that the knowledge you seek is secreted away in an almost inaccessible place, or that it simply cannot be found. Unearthing the deepest secrets of the multiverse can require an adventure or even a whole campaign. Yeah, and you said you think somebody just proved it. Hey, if that's the case, I love unraveling ancient riddles and mysteries. I remember seeing an article where there was some sort of a chemistry problem. If it wasn't chemistry, it might have been physics, because we're talking the atomic level and structures of molecules. And researchers knew what comprised this molecule, but they had no idea how it could architecturally function. So what they did was they programmed the variables into effectively a game and released the game. And then, of course, you have a bunch of people who like these sort of challenges. And this physics problem was solved because gaming people treated it like a puzzle and were trying out different combinations. And they made the interface simple so that many people could try it, and eventually someone got it. That being said, if you've not seen the anime called Summer Wars, it's a movie, not an entire series. I would recommend watching it. Oh, it's so good. Make it a habit. Watch it once every summer. It's a great movie. All right, let's look at his personality traits. 1. I use polysyllabic words that convey the impression of great erudition. And 5. I'm willing to listen to every side of an argument before I make my own judgment. You want to talk about true neutral? Again, let the character flow through you. It's beautiful. This writes itself. If you are intimidated at all about creating a character, just do a random one. You don't have to have a personal attachment to it, but you can just see how the strands are, they come together. It's such a great system. What is his ideal? Number 2. Beauty. What is beautiful points us beyond itself toward what is true. Oh, we have this like very deep philosopher monk. His bond is number 4. My life's work is a series of tomes related to a specific field of lore. We'll have to consider what that is. And lastly, the flaw, because we're all flawed creatures, is number 2. There we go. Most people scream and run when they see a demon. I stop and take notes on its anatomy. Well, if that's a succubus, I go. Okay. Great. We have an awesome silhouette of our character now forming. It's not even just sort of like a dotted line or, we've coalesced mists into a vaguely humanoid shape. It's all coming together. Well, and then we have a Lakshmi worshipping gnome here. Kind of. If you haven't seen the background, don't tell anyone. Now we're gonna hop back over to Chapter 2 races and go down to our genomes here. Gnome, Gnome, Gnome. I think I passed by it. Where are you, Gnome? There's our halflings. Elves? No, apparently not. I just must be derping out here. Dragonborn. There we are. I don't go over this first page in what we're doing in 101 because this is super basic stuff. I think you can read this in the SRD. This is just here to give you a splash of what it means to be a gnome, generally how they operate. I want to get a little bit more into the crunch so that we can build fluff off of it, if that even makes sense. Gnome traits. Our ability score increase. Our int increases by 2. Bada boom. Age we already have. Our alignment is already determined. Our size we have. Our speed is 25 because we have lethal legs. One of the features our race gives us is dark vision out to 60 feet. And if you remember, that is sort of black and white. You can see in black and white 60 feet in front of you, and no light as if it was dim. Dim as if it was bright, and bright as if it was normal, unless for some reason you have like super sensitive eyes. We also get what is called Gnome Cunning. You have advantage on all intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws against magic. Pardon. If we were writing, this would be a great area over here to make a note in pencil that we would have advantage. You can put like a little dash in ADV or something. Like ADV equals magic or something along those lines so you can keep track of that. Or just know what Gnome Cunning means and refer down to it. We already wrote Common and Gnomish. And then there are the 2 sub-races. Forest Gnome, we are not. We are going to be a Rock Gnome, which starts right down here. Those are more the Tinkers. Our Constitution increases by 1. We get Artificer's Lore. Did I spell that? Yeah, okay. Whenever you make an intelligence history check related to magic items, alchemical objects, or technological devices, you can add twice your proficiency bonus instead of any proficiency bonus you'd normally apply. So he's a smarty, and you know what? Int. This is going to be a non-optimal monk in terms of combat, in terms of damage, and all this, right? Especially because we're taking feats and we're doing all this other stuff. This is going to be a very character-rich character, though. And we can tell a good story about this. Because, look, you know, he may be a part of a monastery, and he may be learning these martial techniques. But, you know, not everyone in the army is on the front line or can drive a tank. You need support staff, right? You need cooks and medics. These monasteries need researchers and book scribes and others who get the basic training of being a monk. Now, obviously, he's getting a little bit more than that. But this just means he's non-optimal, right? So he's doing like the 10 push-ups a day instead of the 100 push-ups a day that the other monks do. It's enough to, you know, stay in the Brotherhood, but it's not maximum power. Additionally, he is a little tinker. You have proficiency with artisan's tools. Ooh, come here now. Tinker tools. Using those tools, you can spend 1 hour and 10 gold worth of materials to construct a tiny clockwork device. The device ceases to function after 24 hours unless you spend 1 hour repairing it to keep it functioning, or when you use your action to dismantle it. At that time, you can reclaim the materials used to create it. You can have up to 3 such devices active at a time. When you create a device, choose one of the following options: a clockwork toy, a fire starter, or a music box. Now, you get a little bit of... That's basically what that thing does. You can make it look like something else in some way. If you have another idea, I would highly suggest you run it past your DM. Though, just bear in mind that none of these tinker toys are meant to reproduce even a cantrip or a first level spell or something along those lines. You can keep it somewhat utilitarian, but be creative with it, but don't expect that you're going to get big things from it, or that you're going to get like a free cantrip on a stick. So here's spaces for a 3. Are we going to end up choosing which 3? Maybe. That will depend on how much time is going when we're getting the rest of this stuff done. But this is just a good way for us to remember, yes, he's going to get 3 tinker toys that he can make. All right. Classes. Let's come down here to the monk. Here we go. This is important because what you do is supernatural. You're using your natural body, your natural ability, but in super ways to matrix walk and do all these other things. This energy that flows through you, this ki, is magical-ish. It's not like a wizard's magic or a warlock's magic. But it is more than just what a fighter does by swinging a sword. This is what fuels your extra abilities. All right, while we're on the first page here, I guess it's the second, of the monk, let's take a look real quick and fill in what we can. This is a level 8, so our proficiency bonus is a +3. I'm reading right across this line right here. Well, whatever. It wants to highlight everywhere. As a note, our martial arts has improved to a D6 plus our ability, and then we're going to have a particular attack bonus of some kind here. We are going to get 8 key points. And our unarmored movement, we're going to get an extra 15 feet. That's going to make this a speedy little duder with a base speed of 40. So he's just, kind of Sonic, or he's just zooming around here. As a class, we get unarmored defense. This is different than the Barbarian's unarmored defense. And as a heads up, this is a good time to say, if you roll a multi-class Monk Barbarian, they do not stack. And let's say you go Monk Barbarian Wizard, and you cast Mage Armor, that will not stack with unarmored defense of either of those classes. And then let's say that you're a Dragonborn Monk Barbarian Wizard, and the Dragonborns start with a naturally higher, like a natural AC to reflect their scales. I think it's a 13. Well, you get 4 choices to choose from. Do you want your natural scales? Do you want the magic armor? Do you want the Barbarian unarmored defense, or the Monk unarmored defense? You get 1. No stacking shenanigans here. And then martial arts, so that's going to be our unarmed attack deals more than like a D2 damage that it normally would if we were just some dude in a tavern fight. We get ki at 2nd level, and then we get our unarmored movement, but that's already reflected. No need to waste some ink or graphite. We do get our monastic tradition at 3rd, and we also get deflect missiles, which is cool. Because if someone shoots an arrow at you or like flings a stone, that's you going whoopah and trying to deflect it. And if you deflect enough of the damage you would have taken, you actually catch the arrow and you can whip it back at him like a dart. Ability score improvement, and then we get slow fall. We're going to get an extra attack. So we'll make a note here about that. We get Stunning Strike. 6th level, we get Key Empowered Strikes and a monastic tradition. That will come later. We get evasion. That works like what rogues get, and bards might get that too. I forget offhand. And stillness of mind. And there we go. That'll catch us up. Oh, we get D8. So as a placeholder, 8d8 is our hit dice that we're sitting on. 8d8. I'm not filling in the hit points yet because we don't know what the con score is going to rest at, and that will help determine the hit points that he has. Okay, Dex is the highest. Dex and Wiz are important for a monk. Our race is going to give us intelligence and constitution as bonuses. So what we're going to end up with is sort of like an average, but a high average, like a well-rounded monk. Or we can kind of buffer our two lowest, right? The 10 and the 8 in those. But I don't feel like that would be doing the character justice. I think that we do need to make him playable. And so Dex is going to be important for both offense and defense. Wisdom, well, we'll get there, and we'll play with it. So don't worry. I'm checking on something real quick here. Okay, there we go. So we have our placeholder for hit points. We do not receive any armor proficiencies because we're not trained to wear any. Whoops. How lewd. We are trained to use simple weapons. Whoop. I'm just going to put simple. And short swords. You can reflavor that too. A short sword, if you wanted to say it's kind of like a club is a tonfa, a short sword is a there's a particular name for them. But if you want it more like the Oriental or like the Chinese, like the wobbling blades, like the really thin ones that you kind of spear through, right? They're bigger than a dagger. You can call a dagger a sai. You can reflavor it that way, and I talked to your DM about that. Are you more of an Oriental monk or an Occidental monk? Occidental being Western, Oriental being Eastern. And heck, that's our world. Maybe it's a north-south thing. Maybe it's a northwest and southwest, or however it works. Is there a cultural difference of some kind? In this case, I don't know. He's a monk, but maybe he's just, maybe he's more of a Western monk where he's combative. He can fight if he needs to with different weapons, but maybe we give him brewer's tools or something, right? We make him like a skill monk. That would be interesting. Skill monkey. Short swords. Oh, katar. Oh, yeah, katars. Yeah, something along those lines. So, you could flavor it like the big wrist blades as a katar. You can say it's a short sword. Come on. Think about this. Like, just be creative. Let this stuff flow. Really, the short sword is just an indicator saying it's a D6 piercing weapon of simple use. Put whatever cosmetics you want on top of that. Something that's about the same size, something that still pierces, made of metal, maybe not, I don't know. Go from there. Tools. We get to choose one type of artisan tool or one musical instrument. I think he's definitely going to take an artisan tools of some kind. And I'm going to put a question mark here. And we might have him take more because one of his feats might be skilled. And that's going to give us combination of 3 skills to be proficient in or tools to be proficient in. Our saving throws are strength and dex. And skills, we get to choose 2 from acrobatics, athletics, history, insight, religion, and stealth. Well, first off, I definitely would say, he's already getting history from Sage. Okay, we don't need to worry about that. Religion then, because he's smart, right? He's this researcher. If he likes listening to philosophical debates, things along those lines, I think that'll work. He's going to be a smart monk. Perugia, welcome. Yes, we are making a monk. We're making a rock gnome monk who's going to be kind of a well-rounded one because the stats are just going to be like, they're going to be interesting. And also, of his 2 ability score adjustments, we rolled that they're going to be replaced by feats. So we're making kind of like a well-rounded specialist, if that makes sense. So that's 1 is history. What do we want to give him? Stealth, insight, athletics, acrobatics. He should have some physicality to him. He should be able to get around. And you know what? He's a okay. So he's a librarian, right? And he's short. He needs to be able to, go from shelf to shelf and be able to balance books and do all this other stuff. I think acrobatics would make a lot of sense for a gnomish, gnomish librarian, sage monk, especially because you're saying dex. So you could do acrobatics to like juggle. What if he wants to juggle his tinker toys or do other things like that? It's showing that he's very nimble, and I think that is going to be the right answer for this character. Now, if any of you in chat do have another opinion, you're welcome to throw it out there, and maybe that makes more sense than just what's coming to my onion domed head. What's next? Equipment. We get a short sword or any simple weapon. We are probably... No. Let's go to... I almost want to give him something ranged, because he does get simple weapons, and so something like a crossbow or a... well, he'd probably go crossbow, right, if he's a tinkerer. So let's go with a light crossbow. Whoop. There we go. A light crossbow. So there's his simple weapon. A Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack. Dungeoneer's pack... There's a lot of overlap between the two. One is more for underground survival. One's for above. In the city that this little like mini campaign or novel or whatnot is taking place, there is an Underdarkish area, and I think as a Dungeoneer's pack has like little hammers and pitons and whatnot, that's more up his alley as a tinkerer. So let's give him a Dungeoneer's pack, and ooh, he gets darts. Which, by the way, there was another character that we rolled, and I believe he was also a sage. And we gave him darts, but we flavored it. Oh, no, it was a her. She was the one who was actually guarding the island on the lake in that episode of Lellywellin's Folly. And I think so. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong, but we reflavored it so the darts were her quills, right? So she, as a sage, had these writing utensils on her, but if something happened, she was able to take this quill, this really sharp quill, and throw it right at you, and then it would deal its D4 damage or whatnot. Also up his alley is a rock gnome. Reminds me a lot of the gnomes you'd see in WoW. Yeah, I would agree. Unarmored defense, beginning at first level, while you are wearing no armor and not wielding a shield, your AC equals 10 plus dex plus whiz. That's alright, so that's one reason why whiz would be higher. We can, we can throw something in there. I don't think he's really ever going to have the highest AC. But do you need that if we want to maybe go on Constitution? Is he a hit point tank? In 14 terms, is he a warrior or is he a paladin? I don't know what a Dark Knight would be. Maybe a Dark Knight is like an MP tank. It's, I don't know, kind of weird. Martial arts. At first level, your practice of martial arts gives you mastery of combat styles that use unarmed strikes and monk weapons, which are short swords and any simple melee weapons that don't have the two-handed or heavy property. You gain the following benefits while you are unarmed. Okay, so we can use dex instead of strength. We roll a higher damage. And when we use the attack action with unarmored strike, a monk weapon on your turn, you can make one unarmed strike as a bonus action. For example, if you take the attack action and attack with a quarterstaff, you can also make an unarmed strike as a bonus action, assuming you haven't already taken a bonus action this turn. So if you have this quarterstaff and you go, wah, and then you follow it up with a, you're still hanging on the quarterstaff. Here's a screwdriver. There's the quarterstaff, and then you go, bah, right into the, right into the face as a bonus action. So in this case, we're getting 2 attacks, and then we can even say +1 bonus. So without spending any key for a flurry of blows, we're getting 3 attacks at this point in time. Certain monasteries use specialized form of the monk weapons. For example, you might use a club that is 2 lengths of wood connected by a short chain, called a nunchaku, or a sickle with a shorter, straighter blade called a kama. Whatever name you use for a monk weapon, you can use the game statistics provided for the weapon in Chapter 5. Alright, so key is our magic. This is going to be our spell save is 8 plus proficiency plus wisdom modifier, and we'll fill this in here. We're gonna have to do this here soon enough. Flurry of blows. Immediately after you take the attack action on your turn, you can spend 1 key point to make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action. So this is, instead of using the +1 for a bonus, we can use 1 point of key, and that becomes a +2. And so he's making 4 attacks this turn with a monk weapon or being unarmed. Patient defense. You can spend 1 key point to take the dodge action as a bonus action your turn. So if you want to, lay off, you can. And step of the wind. You can spend 1 key point to take the disengage or dash action. Now rogues get that for free, but that's because they're rogues. You can get that as monk, but you're paying slightly for it. We'll call this, I guess we could just call this key uses. There we go. On our movement, we already have that. Monastic tradition, we know what that's going to be. Deflect missiles, that's going to be what I described. You can deflect stones and arrows and such, and if you prevent more damage than what would have been caused, you can fling it back at the person. And there's our ability score, slow fall. Beginning 4th level, you can use your reaction when you fall to reduce any falling damage you take by an amount equal to 5 times your monk level. There's our extra attack, stunning strike. These are key empowered strikes. They count as magical for the purposes of overcoming resistance. Because look, if you wanted to play a straight up monk, is it fair that your paladin gets a fiery sword and all this other stuff, and you're just you're there and you just crack your knuckles, but you're just hitting with normal fists? Well, in this case, they count as magical. And if you wanted something then from there that counted as like cold steel, adamantine, silvered, talk to your DM or use a monk weapon that could count as that. Peru, oh yeah, poor Dark, he says Sayo. Peru says, I like the monk's versatility, but they feel a bit weak. Unarmed 1d10 sounds good, but a party rarely seems to get to that level, and there are some cantrips that do as much damage with a single attack. That's true, Perugia, though you have to realize that here he's level 8, and if we don't spend any key, and we haven't even gone into his monastic tradition yet, he's attacking 3 times. So he's getting 3d6 damage out on 1 attack. If he spends that key for a flurry of blows, he's getting 46 damage. I mean, presuming he hits, but we're also going to presume that the spells hit too. So you can think of it like chip damage fighters, right? The really quick ones, and you can spam attacks. In this case, though, that can add up quickly, and you have to imagine too. Don't think of just the maximum capacity of the dice. If we're hitting with all 4 attacks, that means we're dealing a minimum of 4 damage. I mean, plus whatever riders, right? But a minimum of 4 damage, and then the maximum of 24. Whereas, let's say on 2d12, our maximum is still 24, but our minimum is 2. So we're dealing actually more damage with the monk in this case. Does that make sense, Peru? And then he gets evasion, so that you take less damage for getting out of the way of fireballs and things. And then starting at 7th level, you can use your action to end one effect on yourself that's causing you to be charmed or frightened. You know, you just kind of go, oh. You find your center, and you project it out and dispel whatever effect is on you. Okay, we rolled Way of the Open Hand. So we have we have our kind of our Jackie Chan rock gnome here. We have an open hand technique. Starting when you choose this tradition at 3rd level, you can manipulate your enemy's ki when you harness your own. Whenever you hit a creature with one of the attacks granted by your flurry of blows, you can impose one of the following effects on the target. You must succeed on a dex saving throw or be knocked prone. You can knock it 15 feet away. That's almost like that 1-inch punch, right? So, you line up on someone, like on their sternum, and then you go, wah! And then, wah! They go flying back. Or it can't take reactions until the end of your turn. So these are not magical, but like quasi-magical effects. You're affecting the battlefield. You're disabling. You're sort of like an enfeebler in this case. And you're dealing damage, too. You're like a physical warlock. So we get open hand technique and the options that ride along with that. And we also get Wholeness of Body. At 6th level, you gain the ability to heal yourself. As an action, you can regain hit points equal to 3 times your monk level. You must finish a long rest before you can use this feature again. So we're kind of our own little, like, one-person, our own little tank. And we're not high enough to get Tranquility or the Quivering Palm just yet. And then we're not going to worry about being an Airbender or being a Shadow Dancer. In case you just have to worry about enemies who counter... Yeah, and there's a lot of enemies that will wait for you. Or you get enemies like... oh, heck, some have multiple arms like Meriliths and whatnot. They might have abilities. I don't know off the top of my head. But they might have abilities to get multiple hits in. Or if you all need to escape because this enemy's too tough or something, your monk can, like, stun the enemy for a round and everyone can just bug out and there you go. Uh-oh, Delcorn's here. Oh, jeez. Okay, so I'm catching up back in chat. Prue says, true, but at that level, Firebolt would still have range 2d10 at that point. It beats 4 to 24 as opposed to 1 to 24. What's great about Monk is they need an hour, not 8, to get back in the fight. Yeah, so there's pros and cons here. Del is just, he's laying into the monsters. Look at that. He just won 100 experience points. And, yep, that's how you get in here, Del. Struts is the... oh, by the way, for those of you who are just joining in, there are a couple new things that we have going on. I haven't quite gotten the code. I haven't gotten the code up to what I want it to be yet. But if you do !REZPLZ, this costs 100 experience points. So, measure that before. I'll give you all 100 if you want to use it as a freebie. But if you type in that, oh no, you died, but not for long. When the light fades, you wake up to find yourself as a ranger. Seems good. Now, the code that I wanted actually has the variables for male, female, all the races, and all the classes. Though, right now, it's just seeing the entire list as all options. And so, as I did it before, it said, oh no, you wake up and find yourself to be a female. Seems good. Like, okay, that's definitely different. Or I woke up to be a half-elf. Not the whole line. But if you want to have fun with that, I'll do an add points 100, or... all 100, if you want to play around with that. So yeah, when I get it working, it'll give you a new gender, race, and class that you can just generate, right? Because you've blarged. And also, for those of you who have joined in, uh-oh, look at that. There's a very generic one-channel Discord, but it's something, right? It'll grow from here. But if you all want to join the Discord, there's the link for it. It'll expire after a day, I think. So if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, don't use that code. Just send me a message and I can invite you. Oakley Dokley. So that is going to fill in most of what we have. There's a couple question marks here. And we need to take 2 feats because we randomly rolled that instead of the ability score adjustments, this character is taking 2 feats instead. That is coming down here to chapter customization, or chapter 6 customization options. Now, this is, I want to use this to help guide our feats. Actually, I should probably fill in the base. Some of the feats can improve these. Can improve these after the fact, but let's do maybe 15. 14. 13. 12. 10. And 8. Again, as I'm envisioning this character, if you think that something else should be rearranged, just say so. And, you know, provide a reason, and we'll contemplate it and build him around there. Though if we do it this way, this is going to give him an int of 15, a con of 13. And this way his dex and his whiz are still, you know, fairly okay. Oh, hey, Delcorn's a tiefling now. Level 8, so at 4 of feet and at 8 of feet. Yes, that's absolutely right. Instead of taking your ASI or your ability score increase, we rolled that he's taking his feats instead. There's a way to permanently... Yeah, there is. I can make a link permanent. I just generated something real quick before the stream started, Sayo. Why can the character take 2 feats and not... Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So I was reading that in the reverse order. So, Pouty, Peru answered your question. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Resistant to fire, but I'm a demon-type person thing. With horns. And no pupils and a tail. Imagine all the fun stuff you can do with your tail. Okay, this then cancels out. There we go. I'm going to put a negative sign here. I'm not going to type in pluses. I normally would, but this is just going to save a little bit of time. There we go. Not worrying about this. This means it's cleared out. And think of names. Think of names. We're almost there. I'm not going to fill in these just yet because now I want to look at what feats are out there because that can end up adjusting the ability scores of this character. Whoops. There we go. All right. We have a monk that is the way of the open hand. So very traditional martial arts with a little over the top kung fu, like wire fu sort of stuff. His background is he's a sage and specifically a librarian. So we have this very smart monk, like in the monastic order. He uses polysyllabic words that convey the impression of great erudition, and he's willing to listen to every side of an argument before he makes his own judgment. Now, mind you, before we rolled those, we rolled his true neutral alignment, and when that happened, like, oh yes, that works out so well. That's a spicy meatball. I'm Italian. See, Italian isn't just a language. It's a body language too, right? His ideal is beauty. What is beautiful points us beyond itself towards what is true. His life's work is a series of tomes related to a specific field of lore. Now, we haven't quite specified what that lore is yet in his background, so I can take suggestions on this as well. Skill-wise, we've given him history and religion as part of his background and his class offers, but there's a lot that we can pull from there. And his flaws, most people scream and run when they see a demon. He stops and takes notes on its anatomy. Oh my. Okay, so with this in mind, we have this like tinker, this librarian gnome. We have someone who likes inventing, who likes reading, who's working on a problem. He has these skill sets. What is going to be a feat that he would want to get into? My first suggestion, and hopefully you'd agree with me, I'm gonna go down here to skilled. You gain proficiency in any combination of 3 skills or tools of your choice. I think that can be huge for him, right? He's a researcher. He wants to be a smarty pants. He wants to do all this stuff. I think that giving him skilled, and I will tentatively write it in here because I want your input. But I'm gonna put skilled. It's like S. Cry Ed, the anime. Just in case we stick to it. There's our 3. There we go. Dwayne the Palm Johnson. Oh, jeez. I'm not against it. That just makes me chuckle. All right. No, by the way, something that could be fun. If we go to Weapon Master, this is a moment where I say talk to your DM. If we take this, we increase our strength or dex score by 1 to a maximum of 20. So that could be useful, right? That could pop up our dex a little bit. You gain proficiency with 4 weapons of your choice. Now, do monks need weapons? Not necessarily. Can monks use certain weapons? Yes. Intrinsically, they get simple weapons. However, and follow me on where I'm going. Oh. Whoa, what's going on here? Oh no, you see where I'm going with this? Firearms. Explosives. Do you guys want to build a gun kata monk? Because if we do this, and we gain proficiency in some weapons, and we can take some of the standard ones too, that might come in handy. Yes, Delcorin, firearms in D&D, and not just pistols and muskets, but we have anti-matter rifles that deal necrotic damage, and laser rifles that deal radiant. So this means that right, we have this tinkerer. Right? So I as a DM might be open to doing this. Right? He's a tinkerer. He's smart. He wants to fight intelligently. Maybe fight at a range, and then if he needs to, close in with his fists. We can build a gun kata monk. Now, do things like, do you want an automatic pistol or, an automatic rifle? Maybe not necessarily there, but there's nothing saying that maybe we couldn't give him 2 revolvers. Yeah. Or a pistol of some kind. Laser rifles? My Hobbit Ranger wants one. So what this could let us do is how do we want to say this? So he's making these explosives and he's using these things in various ways. Now, there's nothing saying that you couldn't say, well, just as a short sword, we could say as a katar. Qatar, I believe is how that's spelled, right? It's like the wrist blades that you could punch with. It's like punching blades. you know, could the antimatter rifle be a wand of something or another? Sure, there's no reason why it couldn't be. But if we go skilled and then we give him this weapon master, so stick with me here. If I'm going off the deep end, I need you guys to pull me back. But I think this could be cool. Not only would this bump his dex up, we can give him a tool that will use his dexterity when we come back over to the DMG. And we say, yeah, you know what? Let's give him 2 revolvers. And so for Weapon Master, this is going to add revolvers. Let's give him also why don't we give him grenades, right? Because he can use a fragmentation grenade. This would be kind of statted like a bomb, but he could concoct smoke grenades, fragmentation grenades, dye grenades. I guess we're playing Splatoon. So we'll say revolver, grenades, and we'll use those as sort of like the limit of what he's on the forefront, right? He's been cloistered up in this monastery, and he's been thinking about ways to, you know, do things differently. Everyone's training with their hands, and he's like, well, what's an extension of my hand? Well, a revolver is a 120-foot extension of one's hand. And then we can come back over here and say, well, what other equipment could we give him if he gets 4 weapons? So then if we want to mix it up, because this is a lot of piercing, right? We have bludgeoning with his fists, then even something like a light crossbow, that's piercing, darts are piercing, all this is piercing. Well, how do we get slashing damage? Well, we look down here, and a whip, he can use that with finesse. So we have kind of an Indiana Jones, right? A pistol and a whip. That kind of sounds cool. Let's give him a whip proficiency. And so that makes a medium range. We have a character now that can be close-up combat, medium range combat, and long range combat. And what's something else we could give him? We don't want to give him something heavy because he's small, and that will impose disadvantage. We could give him... Maybe a scimitar would be cool. Either that, or let's see, darts have a range of, they're thrown at 2060. A blowgun has a range of 25-100. That could be interesting too, because if he's concocting these things, maybe he puts poison on the darts and he uses a blowgun. And so instead of being throwing darts and just like puncturing people for damage. There we go. Now I'm picturing Christian Bale dressed as a cowboy with revolvers performing gun kata. Just watch Equilibrium. That might show you what kind of if you haven't seen Equilibrium, well, I mean, instantly watch it this moment. But that might give you a bit of an idea also of what we're talking about here. So there we go. At this point, I mean, we can now obtaining these can be expensive weapons. So just because he has the proficiency in using them, does that mean he has them? Does he, you know, as the DM, do you say, well, look, you might have invented them, but they're prototypes, or choose one and you could have one on loan from the monastery at any point in time. However you want to do it, or maybe he's packed and he has all these things. Great movie, and what I think of when I hear gun kata, yeah, that's kind of the template from which all gun kata is wrought. But we can say that, I mean, filling this in now isn't really going to be relevant, and we can fill in damages and whatever here, but just know that we have them, and that we've made a gun kata monk. Okay, I like sticking with skilled, and I want to give him... Oh. If he's going to be making this stuff, right, poisons and all that, he's going to need some artisan's tools, like alchemist supplies, or... I think there's particularly a poisoner's kit. A poisoner's kit includes the vials, chemicals, and other equipment necessary for the creation of poisons. Proficiency with this kit lets you add your proficiency bonus to any ability check you make to craft your own poisons. So if we give him... He's going to get... he's floating one of these. But we can also give him a poisoner's kit. And let's also give him alchemist's supplies. He gets one other by being a monk of some kind because he studied something. We could do brewers, right? We could do... if he's making... let's say he's got these... He has a tinker set already. Maybe smith's tools, maybe weavers. I don't know. What would be something else you would see him knowing how to do as an artisan tool? Peru comes back as a male. Well, one day you'll also earn a random race and a random class, but once I figure out how to do that line of code. I have it. If any of you are good at that stuff, I can like copy paste the line of code in there, and you can show me where I'm being a derp. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking maybe brewer supplies, or maybe he does something like weaving, just in his spare time. What do you see this monk doing with another set of artisan's tools? And then while you guys are thinking about that, we should give him something. I almost want to say we should give him perception or investigation. Well, maybe not perception, right? He's naturally okay in wisdom, but he's not perceptive because he normally has his nose in books or in a tinker, and you don't really... You're concentrating. Like, you're concentrating your perception at all points in time there. So I don't know if perception would really work in this case. But we can give him something like investigation, right? If he needs to find books in a library, if he needs to discover what is the nature of beauty and ponder philosophy, if his life's work is a series of tomes that are related to lore, he needs to tie these things together. And he's also making these anatomy books of succubi and other very apparently female-oriented demons. That seems to make sense. And he'd be okay at doing that as well. Shadzar, give him liberty or give him death, baby rage. So, Shad, I don't know if you've been lurking, but we just, we kind of accidentally into a gun kata monk. Okay, and that was investigation. No clue what that means. Have you ever seen the movie Equilibrium? Or just think of kind of Matrix stuff. Think of... It's like highly dexterous, acrobatic gunplay. What would be something set aside? We've hit his tinkering and his creative side a lot. This would be something that would be just Oh, how about we do this? We say alchemy was his monastic tools that he got, and so from this is going to be alchemy down here. From that, and instead we switch out alchemy here, and we can give him thieves tools. There we go. That's a lot of minute work. It's taking things apart. It's still this skill, and so this is going to make him really. Oh, supposedly the movie John Wick features it heavily, but that's according to Wikipedia. I've heard that as well. I mean, not that he, not that. Why am I derping on his name? Neo. Keanu Reeves. You know, it's not like he's Neo again in that movie, but there's a lot of gunplay in that. Equilibrium is a good movie worth watching. Yep. Hopefully our gnomish monk here can figure out how to make the magazines with the rounded weighted bottoms to it, because that was really cool. I will just assume it isn't some sort of teenage slang for something I should be worried about. Monks with guns. How about that? Instead of, cowboys and Indians, it's monks with guns, kind of doing flips and, as they're running along, they right along the wall, and they're shooting as they do, and then they come back down and do that. Or, because they have slow fall and all this other stuff. So they kind of get like bullet time, right? They're slow falling and they're going do-do, do-do, do-do as they come down and go from there. Okay, well, you know what? I think that we have a pretty good character. There's just a little bit that needs to be filled in on him. Especially, we have Dwayne the Palm Johnson, and I'm not necessarily opposed to that. But if you all have other names that you might want to call him as well, I'm open-minded to that, to that too. I don't want to make giving a nickname or kind of a fun reference is there, but you don't want to make your character generally. Characters can make jokes, but jokes don't make good characters. And so I'd want to be careful, because if we were to name this character that, all of a sudden the other personality is taking over this character, and we kind of lose a little bit of the charm that he's going to have intrinsically. Though, you and I can just sort of like wink and laugh at the nickname. While you all are... lots of spinning, leaping, jumping, sliding, tossing pistols over heads and catching them on the other side. Cool stuff. Yes. Dexterity, your initiatives +3. Let's see, we have 3, and that's 15 with unarmored. Our constitution is a 1, so that's going to be 9 at first level. And then that's going to be another 9 that's going to be another 7 with the other levels. And then that's going to be half +1 is 5 times 7 is 35. So this is going to be 51 hit points. Big break. Hey, this is kind of up your alley. We just made a monk who's going way of the open hand, so it's more traditional martial arts. However, with everything that we rolled beforehand, we ended up making a gun kata monk, or like a gunplay monk, who does a lot of alchemy to, make the bullets and smoke grenades and bombs and other things like that that are necessary. So if you have any unique insight into this, you're certainly welcome to add it, because Big Break is that's what you do. You're the chat monk. Personally, I don't see The Rock being dexterous enough to pull off gun fu. He just beat you over the head with the butt of the pistol. And he'd probably make a quip of it as well. Okay, so strength is going to be a 2. Dex is going to be a 6. Constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and some charisma. Acrobatics, so that's 3 plus 3 is 6. Let's go down to the other dexes. There's not too many. We're going to put in a 3 and put in a 3. Animal handling, we're taking our whiz here. There we go. I know what I said. Da-da-da-da, 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 and da-da-da-da. Next up is Constitution, which doesn't have any because it's its own thing. Intelligence is 2. Plus 3 is 5. 5. 5. 2. 5. The minus 1 over here. And then Deception is going to be 0, 0, 0, and 0. Just straight up. Our D&D gnomes very similar to WoW gnomes. The rock gnomes is what was brought up. Was it Peru that was saying that it sounded like D&D rock gnomes were kind of like the WoW. But there's two different types. There's forest gnomes and then there's rock gnomes. Rock gnomes are the tinker types. Forest gnomes are we're friends with animals and can speak to them and, you know, enjoy magic mushrooms and such. Sounds like a bard to me. Oh, rock would be more like a chef. He's always cooking something, wants you to smell it. I get what you're saying, that it sounds like a bard, and I guess it could be, though. Shad, in this own way, gun fu, gun kata, gunplay. It's kind of its own, I don't know, subgenre of martial art or of kung fu movie. And so we went in that direction because everything that we had built before we got to this point really put him in this direction. Big Break says it's dirty fighting still. Is dirty fighting still a feat in this version? Fighting dirty is important in real life if you are unarmed. No, things like that or like monkey grip and whatnot isn't in here. There is something like Tavern Brawler. I think that lets you like knock someone down if you punch them. But this character can do that by using his intrinsic martial arts in the way of the open hand. He gets some status effect things like being able to do the 1-inch punch, right? You go up to the sternum and you go, whoopah! So he can knock people back, knock people down, or stun them, or keep them from taking reactions or attacks of opportunity against people who are moving past him. All right, you know what? We have... I mean, there's some blanks. This isn't really going to matter because all of our decks to hits are going to be the same. And it's just going to be the damage types, and especially as we come down here into the revolver and the grenades, which are in the DMG here. We see that revolvers deal 2d8 piercing. And then we have... frag grenade must make a 15 dex saving throw, or it takes 5d6 piercing damage on a failed save. Then there's smoke grenades, and this character can create all these things because of his unique intellect and disposition. Deflect missiles. What level is he starting at? Catching the arrow. Yeah, so he can deflect. Arguably, you could say he's tested these on himself because there's mechanically nothing saying that he can't be like the bulletproof monk and catch bullets also, and then even like fling the bullet back at the shooter. Del, I'll take a look at that link in just a second here because I'm gonna take my short rest, like 5 to 10 minute break. We have pretty much a good character. When I come back, if you all come up with some names, I'll look and see if I can find some cool pictures as well that we can use. And then we're going to get into part 2, which is going to be some DM advice on how to make memorable characters and how to make a storyline that's memorable and to keep your party talking about it in the future years.